and gentlemen, Gary Moore. Yay!
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, Bill Wendell. You've lost a little weight. I doubt that there's anybody in the world, all kidding aside, who didn't recognize that marvelous cartoon character, Yogi Bear, one of America's favorites. Our first contestant up here, at least one of the first three, is going to be one of the co-creators of Yogi Bear, and we'll meet the talented chap right after good old Yogi introduces our Bear-Face panel right here on To Tell the Truth.
Here's Bill Cullen. And Peggy Cass. With my old buddy, Nipsey Russell. And Kitty Carlisle. Certainly better than the average panel.
Now, wasn't that a splendid introduction?
Yeah.
I tell you that Yogi Bear has got class, and I can't see any reason why we don't let him just keep right on working. So let's let Dawes Butler, who is the voice of Yogi Bear, introduce our first team of challenge.
To tell the truth. This is Dawes Butler, the voice of
Yours truly, Yogi Bear. Yay! Created by Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera. And one of these gentlemen is one of my bosses, Mr. Bill Hanna. Yay!
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Bill Hanna.
Number two.
My name is Bill Hanna.
Number three.
My name is Bill Hanna.
And here is the animated announcement of Bill Hanna. I, Bill Hanna, am one half of Hanna-Barbera Productions, the world's largest animation studio. Indeed, we've produced more cartoon series than anyone else in the business, over 100 series in all. Currently, we're responsible for about half of the Saturday morning television programs for children. In addition to Yogi Bear, from whom you've just heard, other Hanna-Barbera creations are the Banana Splits, Huckleberry Hound, and the Flintstones. We also produced the fully animated musical motion picture of the E.B. White classic, Charlotte's Web. And it's a source of great pride that our Tom and Jerry cartoon series won 7 consecutive Academy Awards. Signed, Bill Hanna. And that's a mess of awards, and we'll be right back to play the game after a mess of commercials.
If you have a mobility problem, here's an important message from Hoveround.
Eastern and Pacific.
Now, across the way from us, we have 3 many times awarded gentlemen, all of them claiming to be Bill Hanna, co-creator with Joe Barbera of Yogi Bear, and many more cartoon characters. And Nipsey Russell, let's see what you want to find out.
Number 2, there is some discussion in animation that what's being played on the screens now is not true animation, that they're just figures with maybe the mouth moving, but the real animation would move every part of the body. Do you know the source of that criticism?
No, not at all.
Have you heard it, number 2?
No, none whatsoever.
All right. Number 3, if you had a figure and you had wanted it to move rapidly, would you make less or more drawings?
If you wanted to move rapidly, you'd have to have more drawings, but you would have to increase the frames.
I see. Number 1, do you know who produces Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes, I don't think are being produced now.
I see. Number 2, again, there was a classic cartoon called Country Cousin. Do you know who produced that film?
Could have been Screen Gems, I'm not sure.
It was an animated cartoon?
Yes.
I see. Number 3, what about foreign products? How does it compare with the American productions?
Well, I think I think you'd say that the foreign people do more of an aesthetic kind of type cartoon than we do here.
Thank you, Nipsey. Let's go to Kitty.
Number 1, is Smokey the Bear ever confused with Yogi Bear?
I don't think he is at all, no.
That's funny. I confused him.
You thought you were being introduced by Smokey, did you?
Number 2, would you say that the moral content of cartoons has changed since you've been in the business?
Oh, yes. Obviously, as you well know, they're mainly directed for early morning Saturday shows, the youth, the young adults, the 5- and 6-year-olds, and it's actually they're a plus in relation to the violence that the rest of the violence you see on TV.
Yeah, thank you. Number 3, but there's been a tremendous sort of urge to have the children see less violent things and so forth. Has the morality of the cartoon changed in your day?
I really don't think so.
It's always been the same.
I think so.
Number 1, who did Crazy Cat?
Crazy Cat was made in New York by... honestly, I can't
That's all right. I got
that
confused with Smokey the Bear and Yoga Bear, so...
And we're going on down, please, to Bill Cullen.
Number 2, when I was going to the movies every Saturday with a dime in my pocket, in addition to the Disney things, the Mickey Mouse characters and things like that, Popeye was very big. Do you know what studio produced Popeye or who produced it?
I'm not sure. Again, it might have been Screen Gems. I'm not actually sure.
No, number 1, there was a cartoon that won a big prize in motion pictures a few years ago, like 5 or 6. It was just a colored blob, and there was a voiceover just describing what that blob was doing in dialect. Do you know who the voiceover was on that particular one? I think it was called The Blob. I don't know, but it was about a blob. The Blob.
B-L-U-B.
Did it win an Academy Award?
I wouldn't say it's an Academy Award, a motion picture award of some kind. I remember it was.
I'm sorry, I don't recall that.
Number 2.
And on to Peggy Cass.
Number 3, you said that, or somebody said that the cartoons aren't as violent as they used to be, but Tom and Jerry's still good and violent, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's what I said before. They hadn't changed. I said they were still violent.
Oh, well, I'm with you. I love Tom and Jerry. That's my all-time favorite. Now, they pound good. Number 1, did you start out with Walt Disney?
No, I have never worked for Walt Disney.
Thank you. Number 2, did you have to pay a royalty to Yogi Berra to use that name, Yogi Bear?
Not at all.
Did he object at all?
There was some flack, but it was sort of a laughing thing. It was...
Number 3, who's the voice of Woody Woodpecker? Number 3.
I don't know.
Do you know, number 1, if there's any woman in California that does voiceover for animals?
For animals?
Yeah, you know, like for cartoon people.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Number 2, who makes Roadrunner? That's another one I like. If you say Screen Gems, I'm not going to vote for you.
There's a Visicom Productions that could do. I'm quite sure it did that.
Thank you.
This began to sound a little bit like a Senate hearing. I never heard so many evasive answers in my life. But based on what you've learned or what you haven't learned, friends, you're going to have to mark your ballots. You're going to have to make the following numbers. Choose amongst them. A 1, or a 2, or a 3. And the situation is we pay $50 to the group for each wrong vote. We pay them $500 if nobody comes up with a real Bill Hanna, and Nipsey starts.
Well, I voted for number 1, possibly because I thought that he gave me the least bit of misguidance. And I counted number 2 out because there's a great furor about whether or not that really constitutes animation, what appears on the screens and on television today.
Very well, so we got a 1 going, and now we're going to Kitty.
Well, I nearly voted for number 1 because he looks like Yogi Bear. And number 2 is obviously an executive for Screen Gems. And number 3 looks like an actor. But I voted for number 3.
Number 1 looks like Yogi Berra?
Yeah, Yogi
Berra.
Berra.
Yogi Berra, number 1.
However,
Bear.
well, all right. Let's go on to Bill Cullen.
I've come to the conclusion from these answers that there's no Bill Hanna over there. These are all animations. And I voted for number 3 because his lips move with the words better than the other bunch there.
And so we got a pair of 3s and a 1 and Peggy.
Oh, I think that the real one would have known that Gracie Lance, Walter Lance's wife, is the voice of Woody Woodpecker. But I voted for number 3 because he's kept Tom and Jerry good and violent the way I like it.
That's the way we go, friends. And I'm not going to have the gentleman stand up. Better than that, who better to pick out his creator, Bill Hanna, than Yogi Bear himself. Yogi, will you come out here and show us which one is the fellow who thunk you up?
Cute, isn't he?
Yeah.
He does look like number 1.
He does look like number 1.
I think it is number 1.
Oh, it's not, is it? No, he says not. No, it's not number 2. Daddy. Yeah. Oh, my, all right. Fine, Bill. Let's go on down the line and find out who we all are. Number 2, sir, what is your real name? What do you do?
I'm Frank Joyce, and I'm Southern Sales Manager for the New York Subways Advertising Company.
Nice to have you here. And number 3, tell me about you, please.
I'm Tommy White. I own the Giraffe Restaurant on East 58th Street in New York City.
It's a great place. Bill, very nice to have you with us, and there must be something special that brings you and Yogi to New York. What is it?
Well, Yogi told me he was tired of his cave. He wanted a new cave, so we have been what you would call cave hunting.
And have you found a location?
Yes, we have. Found him a new home. It's a beautiful new home in a brand new park. It's in Richmond, Virginia, and it's called King's Dominion. It's going to be the only bear cave that has hot and cold running geysers.
Well, now, Bill, it's been an honor for us to meet you. Yogi, certainly an honor to meet you, my friend.
Sweet.
Take care. Take care, gentlemen, also. Thank you very much for being with us. Now we come to a subject that should really grab you. Have you ever wondered if you were taking enough vitamins? Or on the other side of the coin, have you ever worried about the fact that you might be taking too many vitamins? Well, next up is a doctor who has answers about all that kind of stuff, and we'll meet him in just about 2 minutes. Hey, friends, take care of yourselves. That's all we got time to say. Bye.
Our Central characters today will receive soft, fluffy St. Mary's blankets in a selection of decorated colors. What a beautiful way to keep warm from St. Mary's. Promotional consideration provided by Best Western Motels, the nation's largest chain of 1,250 fine owner-operated motels and affiliated hotels in 900 cities throughout the United States, Canada, and Mexico. This is Bill Wendell speaking for you to Tell the Truth. A Mark Goodson, Bill Chapman production.
This is Ann Convey and her husband, What's My Line panelist Bert Convey. This is TV star Carol Rossin and her husband, stage and screen star Hal Holbrook. This is singing, dancing star E.J. Peeker and her husband, film producer Bob Zampino. And this is Loretta Clark and her husband, TV star Dick Clark. These 4 celebrity couples are here to play He Said, She Said.